second season of Creation Challenge Talk, and the topic we will be discussing today is ecological conversion. Behold the earth with new eyes and new hearts. So joining us today, we have two very special guest speakers, Sister Julie Marie Peters, who is the director of the Franciscan Institute, and Jonathan Koo, representing CIC Environmental Club at St. Mary's College, Port of Spain, Trinidad. So hi, Sister Julie and Jonathan. I invite you to share a little more on yourself for our viewers who may not know you. Thank you.
Well, I'm Sister Julie Marie Peters. I'm a sister of this orphan mother. I am Grenadian by birth, presently on assignment in Rome.
My name is Jonathan Koo. I'm an upper sixth student at St. Mary's College in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm one of the representatives from the CIC Environmental Club.
Thank you both of you. So that is a wonderful sharing. So let us talk more about this topic, ecological conversion. Behold the earth with new eyes and new hearts. And Sister Julie, you have taught theology for so many years, and I know that you would be very good at explaining what is ecological conversion for us. So can you share what is ecological conversion?
Well, first of all, when we hear the word ecology, I think we all think of the earth, the environment, the planet, right? And when we hear the word conversion, we think about change. It comes from the Greek word metanoia, which really means a change around, a change of attitude, a change of behavior. I like to see it as new direction, taking a new direction, a switching, right? A turnabout, making a U-turn in your life. And in the spiritual life, this means a change of mind. It means the way we think, changing the way we think. It means a change of heart, the way we relate. It also means a change of behavior, ways of acting. What are we doing? Okay, so in practical terms, moving from a mindset of where we feel we might be the creator, to move into a mindset of accepting with all humility that we are creature. We're not the boss. And this pandemic has taught us this. Really, if we were convinced that we were the boss, I think now we know where the chips fall. So, as we speak about conversion, and we speak about ecological conversion, we have to think about how we think about the earth, how we relate to the earth. What is our behavior towards the earth? What's our action towards the earth? We have to move from a place, a feeling, a perception of entitlement to one of gratitude, because the earth is God's gift to us, freely given, not only to me or to you, but for all of us. That is why the Holy Father says it's our common home. That is why he begs us to recognize the world is God's loving gift to all. We have to move from abuse and misuse to a spirit of generosity and a spirit of care, a spirit of tenderness and deep concern for the earth. Because how we treat the earth eventually is how we treat the poor. We all rely on the earth for sustenance and life and livelihood. We have to move from destroying and polluting to protecting and sustaining. Behaviorally, that might mean recycling, refusing, reusing. This disconnect that we experience with the earth, we see ourselves as separate. If we really honor conversion, embracing conversion, we will reconnect because we are one with creation, one universal communion, one humanity. Ecological conversion leads us to deep spiritual renewal. It helps us to seek and appreciate our interdependence and our interconnectivity. It affords us the opportunity to find our rightful place, to take our rightful place, which really is one of responsibility if we are earnest. Responsibility and gratitude. In the book of Genesis, God gave the earth to us. And at every day of creation, as he created, at the end, he said it was good. And when lastly he created human beings, he said, we too are good. And he gave us everything. And that gifting carried it to me two responsibilities. The responsibility to experience and enjoy the goodness and to keep it good. And the way we do that is by being responsible stewards, caretakers. That is how we should see the word steward. To take care of. To take care of. As children, when our parents always taught us when we receive a gift, is because the person wants to show appreciation. They want to show love. And our response should be thankfulness, gratitude. And our parents would have told us, no, you have to take care of this gift, you know. You use it to show that you appreciate it, but you don't abuse it. And it is the same thing with the earth. Same thing with the earth. So through personal conversion, we would find that in the process of personal conversion, we'd be more committed to creation. As we change how we relate and how we think and how we behave, we would move from this place of just utilitarian, just using and commercializing, to a place of care, a place of responsibility to sustain. And out of this love and goodness that we experience in creation, we would develop a passion, a zeal to protect it. This passion hopefully would move us, would inspire us, would inform us to action regarding creation. So this global devastation that threatens the very life, our very life and the life of the earth, we will be committed. I would even say, and I'm using this word in a very particular way, we would be driven to do something about it. Motivated so much that we feel compelled to act. Compelled to act. Conversion begins with reflection on our behavior. Reflection on the way we have failed to be good stewards, to be guardians of creation. And if we are too busy, we can't contemplate. We can't contemplate the beauty of the earth. We can't be awed by its mystery. We need to be quiet. I think we learned that. the book of Genesis. God rested. Do we rest? Do we rest in creation? Do we rest in the marvel of this wonderful gift we've been given? God rested in what he had done. Do we rest in what we've been given and what we do? But when we're too busy, we cannot contemplate. We need to be quiet. We need to reflect. We need to take an inner pause to be able to recognize all the things that God has given us. Because without this encounter, there won't be a conversion. It will be business as usual. It will be impossible. Conversion is the fruit of contemplation, of quiet reflection, of encountering myself in the way that I am and beholding myself in the way I should be and what I should become. In contemplation, we perceive what is wrong and we discern what is right. The truth allows us to feel compassion, a spiritual regret, a feeling sorry for what we have done. Let us not be afraid to call it sin, for how we have sinned against ourselves, against each other, and against God's gift to us, how we have abused that gift. And contemplation would lead us to this deep desire, a passion to do what is right for ourselves, for the generations to come. The Native Americans say that we don't give the earth, preserve the earth for the next generation, you know. And they're right. You know what they say? We take it from the next generation. We have borrowed it from the next generation. Just think about the switch in our heads if we switch from the concept of protecting it from them for the next generation to saying we have borrowed it from them. We have it on loan from the next generation. It's a tremendous switch. It would create a tremendous switch in our mentality and our behavior towards creation. So I would like to invite us in this season of creation to take the time to just enjoy, to be grateful. Because conversion is also about gratitude. You know, when ingratitude is all that we have, then what do? We complain and we never have enough. We never have enough. And if we never have enough, what do? We exploit. We exploit. And the earth has been a victim of exploitation. It has been a victim of our misuse.
Sister Julie, I really like that sharing, and especially when you said the encounter, without an encounter, you won't experience that conversion, and that personal ecological conversion could help us, motivate us to act. And I like how you relate it to also connecting it with our future generation, our generation to come. And the earth needs time to rest and replenish and live, and we really need to live in gratefulness too. So we have Jonathan Koo, who is part of CIC's Environmental Club. And I'm inviting Jonathan, if he would be able to share, Jonathan, would he be able to share how can you relate it to your personal ecological conversion, and how does this help you, especially with your involvement with your club?
Of course. Well, as a Christian youth growing up, one of the first things you learn in Sunday school way back then is about the creation of the world, right? And it's like Sister Julie said, we were creations of God. We were perfect creations of God, and the earth is God's perfect creation. And like she said, we are just stewards. I believe there's a scripture, Psalm 24:1. The earth is the Lord's, and that is in it, the world and those who live in it. And I think people often forget that now we owe it to not just to God, but to each other and to ourselves, to not just preserve, but to protect our borrowed paradise. And I agree with what Sister Julie was saying about being driven after a certain revelation. I myself have been driven in many ways towards living a more eco-friendly lifestyle. Whether that meant adopting recycling practices at home or composting, is the little actions that you take that contribute to the bigger picture. And it's not just that. It's even gone further to me, encouraging others to join in this greater movement towards ecological conservation. And in essence, they themselves go through their own conversions where they realize that we are making a negative impact on our environment. And it's something that the Environmental Club at CIC, we noticed that a lot of young people weren't putting their best effort forward in terms of living a more eco-friendly life. And when we revamped the club, one of our missions was not just to be one of the most active environmental clubs, but to raise a community of eco-friendly people, people that would recognize that the world is changing and we're negatively impacting it, and we need to make a difference as the youth, as Christian youth, but youths in general. And because of this, we've worked together, we've worked really hard, and we've accomplished so much in so little time because we've seen that need and we need to fill that void. I could begin to list the activities that we have participated in, but there's so many. We even the Franciscan Institute's last season of creation competition, we participated in that, and we placed first in one of the categories. And I think that our activity, our level of activity, has encouraged not just our small group, but the rest of the CIC community to be more eco-friendly. One of our crowning jewel projects, I would like to say, is the introduction of these water coolers that I know Ms. Ramsahai would have seen at some point. We noticed that in our little community at CIC, there were tons of single-use plastic bottles every day thrown away, wasted, sometimes not even recycled, even with the recycle bins present. And we saw that as a real issue because, fun fact, actually really, really sad fact, 8 million tons of plastic ends up in the oceans every day. And it's something that, it is getting worse every day. So we wanted to make an impact. We wanted to make a small change that would hopefully create a for others to take example. And one of the ways we did that was the introduction of these water coolers, these water dispensers that would allow students, rather than buying single-use plastic bottles, they would be able to just refill a bottle, hopefully a recycled bottle or a bottle. And, we've actually seen that slowly but surely, more and more people are being encouraged to do so in our community. And I think that in itself is the biggest, is the best reward for this. And I think that once we continue in this path, we will achieve our goal of ecological conservation and conversion at some point.
That is impressive, Jonathan. Thank you for sharing. I really like how you link the transformation and how it started with your own personal conversion at home, and then how you encourage others, even at your school, to really commit themselves to care for creation and to develop that passion. And it becomes a community conversion, in other words. So I'm seeing from your sharing that link what Sister Julie was saying, that change of attitudes towards earth, and that personal conversion leading into the bigger picture. And I like what you said, you know, it starts with that small action. Those small action really adds up. Sister Julie, I know you hold CIC in your hearts. Can you share on this?
Well, you know, when I was at CIC, one of the things that I did, the plastic bottles were also a very big concern for me. So I used to have the boys collect the bottles, and they would put it in plastic bags, and we would take it, and we would, Sister Christine, and a sister who was a nurse that I lived with at the time, she would sterilize all the bottles, and that was the bottle we reused for juice for feeding the homeless. And it became a real practice there. So I am really heartened by the fact that they're moving away from bottles completely. And that's great. That's great. That's really good news. But one of the things that Jonathan said that I really want to reinforce, and I like, that the club is not about a whole set of activity. The club is about making a difference. The club is about changing direction. And I really want to congratulate him for that, because, you know, we could fall into a kind of fad, a kind of style, and compete and outbeat one another in things that we do, activity. But when we have to sit down and do something that will create personal change, then change in the immediate environment, the school community. Just think about if every boy at CIC, and you have about, let's say, 26 in a class, and I'm putting it at a low figure, and you have, you know, all these classes. So you multiply that about, you know, you have about 600 boys, and each boy goes to a different home and just practices one thing that he learned, how he was influenced by the club. Let's say he starts a composting, or he starts asking the parents not to buy bottled water. And let's move into, you know, conservation of the earth by not using, you know, one-time use plastic, single-use plastic. Just imagine the impact of that. So I don't want this to just be something that Jonathan just said. And apart from congratulating Jonathan himself, to realize the impact of this. And I want all, you know, people who are listening and will listen, you know, on Facebook and see this program, you know, to take action, So let what Jonathan has said and what the club at CIC is trying to do, let it sink, you know, reflect on it and see what small action you can take at home. If you're a parent, what you want to teach your little ones. If you're a grandparent, what you want to teach your grandchildren. If you're an older sibling, what you want to teach your younger sibling. What you want to be an example of. Somebody who cares for the earth, or somebody who just takes it for granted. We never take gifts for granted. When we take gifts for granted, we discount the giver of the gift. We become indifferent to the giver of the gift. When we appreciate and show gratitude for what we have been given, it says something about what we think of who has given us the gift. And we cannot separate these two things. You don't ever forget the persons who have given you gifts. You want to say thanks every time you pick up the gift. You want to do something in return. And that is a life of conversion. A life of conversion is always changing, is deep gratitude. And we are not grateful enough. We're not grateful enough. So I'm really happy because just even taking that step is actually a statement of gratitude. Just taking that step of not wasting water, of not polluting the earth with plastic. It is saying I'm grateful for what I have and I want to use it well and care for it well. So I really want to congratulate Jonathan and his group at CIC. And it's not because I'm biased to CIC, but when they're doing good things, tell them. And when they're doing things that are not so good, pull them up. And I really want to thank you. And I hope this message of Jonathan goes really far to people his age.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Sister Julie. So we are closing in on time. And I would like to invite Jonathan and your group at CIC, as well as your friends and colleagues from the different schools, to participate in the Season of Creation Challenge that the Franciscan Institute is having this year. The deadline date for submission of all entries is on October the 4th, and you can submit your entries via email to adminassist@franciscaninstitute.org. This Season of Creation Challenge goes out to Grenada, to St. Lucia, and Trinidad and Tobago. So feel free to share your creative ideas, and we have different categories that you can select and submit your entries. And then we would recognize, as usual, we would recognize annually at our St. Francis Canticle Award ceremony, the winners and participants for the Season of Creation Challenge. So we look forward to seeing you again, Jonathan, and your team and school at our award ceremony, as well as participating in the Season of Creation Challenge. And this conversation, it really leads on to a lot of levels. It's a very layered conversation because we could continue, and we shall continue this conversation on contemplation and compassion. And Sister Julie, I really like when you shared that conversion is the fruit of contemplation and compassion. And I remember that the Franciscan Institute posted out for this week, the Season of Creation calendar activities, and there were 2 challenges, either recycle, reuse, or reduce, or have a cell phone free day. And when I saw this have a cell phone free day, I'm thinking, could I really quieten myself and have this cell phone free day and really contemplate and live in gratitude of everything God has created and given to me as a gift, and reflect on the awe and mystery of the universe and the environment just around in my little apartment. So we continue our conversation next week, Wednesday, on September 30th, on Facebook Live and on Zoom, and we are going to discuss on the topic contemplation and compassion. We're having Sister Julie continue the conversation with us. Sister Julie, thank you for attending this session from Rome. I know that you have a very busy schedule, so thank you as usual. And we are having Nathaniel Davis, who's an artist, joining in this conversation. Thank you, Jonathan. And on behalf of the Institute, I really like to thank you for committing your time and sharing so deep with us. And I remember in Panama for World Youth Day, when Pope Francis said the message that the youths are not the future, the youths are the nows. They are they're going to be our leaders, they're going to be our teachers, they're going to be our principals, they're going to be making decisions. And all your work that you have been doing in your own personal life and with your colleagues is really an inspiration. And I hope that you really continue to doing the good work that you have been doing with your team at St. Mary's College, Port of Spain in Trinidad. So thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me. And like you said, I would like to encourage everyone who's listening, if you know a group of youths in your area or at your school who are trying to do something environmentally friendly, just encourage them and help them execute their project as best as possible, so that, you know, this is our world, so let's save it together. Thank you.
Wonderful message.
Thank you. Is there any way people can connect with your group
Yes,
Jonathan?
we have an Instagram account, CIC Environmental Club. You could just message us there, DM it. We're open to suggestions and new projects, so feel free to DM us.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. And for those who may not know what DM means, it means direct message. I get confused with that as well. Sister Julie, do you have any closing words to share with us?
My closing words would be just take 1 minute and stop and just look at creation. See something new or see something old with a different eye. That will be a change. God bless each of you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.